my addictive substance, alcohol, my addictive behaviour, workaholic relationships, collecting, materialism, doing the next right thing, sometimes I thought, trying to be perfect, always had this gap inside, not quite sure what was going on, except that I wanted to look right, and feel right, and be right, and think right. And it didn't get me anywhere in the end. It just wore me out. I became exhausted by my, I suppose, drive for perfection. And the gift these days is not to drive for anything, but to live life as it is today, and to be able to make choices in what I may do and what I may not do, and find out what the wisdom is to know the difference. And that is a big difference for me from the days when I used to drink to take the edge off, and it was the first drink that did the damage, because why would I keep on doing it if it didn't do something for me? So it did give me conviviality, joyfulness, access to emotions which I didn't know were there. They were suppressed often under a great big concrete slab of fear. And fear was a great motivation. So the fear to look right, the fear which made me put on a brave face, the fear which stopped me from intimacy, the fear of not being good enough in all respects, kept me driving forwards. So why? Well, wherever the fear came from, it was always there. And I didn't understand life too well when I was a youngster, and I don't know that I found safe haven anywhere. So part of what has happened since I stopped drinking on a daily basis and found sobriety with a lot of help is understanding that an amount of fear is necessary, but not overwhelming fear, where we are driven to cover up, to pretend, to think ourselves into an obsessive state where we're always looking for disaster rather than happiness and peacefulness. So on those rare occasions when I did experience happiness and peace without a drink inside me, it was glorious, and I always went back to a drink to see if I could actually emulate the same feeling again, some sort of quick way to utopia, although I don't know what utopia might be these days. Utopia for me is an ever-changing world, an ever-changing day, an ever-changing me. So 35 years at least of drinking. I don't know when it slid from convivial and just taking the edge off to dependency, but I do know from this century, from the 2000 stage, certainly I was addicted 24/7, and if I wasn't getting my fix of alcohol on a physical, emotional, spiritual level, I was feeling very awkward and very uncomfortable, to the point where in the end, if I didn't drink, life was completely horrible. So what now? In recovery I had a moment of clarity, which was not that I should stop drinking, because I guess I knew along the way drinking wasn't good for me. It was how to stop, and in the end I realised I couldn't do it on my own. And I'm alive today because of family, friends, doctors, professionals who got me to that point where I had to concede utter defeat, that I needed help, absolutely needed help, and I couldn't do it alone. And that's when the fellowship of AA loomed into my life, Alcoholics Anonymous, pushed through the doors of AA for the first time by my sister, who was a loving sister, so concerned she didn't know what to do, and if I didn't know what to do, how could anybody else? Well, when I went to the fellowship, I suddenly found that there were a lot of people who did know what to do on a daily basis just to keep sober, so the rest of life can work. So my videos are really sharing the message about experience, strength and hope of sobriety for those who cannot get to meetings, or just want a quick dip into a bit of recovery information, or just simply information about what it's like in recovery. And today it's okay. Life is okay, and I'm dealing with it in the moment rather than obsessing about the past or worrying about what I'm going to do next. So for me, the gift of AA is in the statement of intent, which is shared as the AA preamble at the beginning of every meeting. Then I share a reading or two and what's going on for me. So the AA statement of intent goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So that's the preamble shared at every meeting I go to, and I go to as many meetings as I can, because not only did I find fellowship where people are allowed to express their feelings about each other, that we like each other, that it's okay to love each other, and to be loved back, which is scary stuff. Very scary indeed when we first encounter it. What do these people want from us? And the answer is nothing really. Friendship, certainly, and also to share a message and learn the wisdom of sobriety, which changes daily. So if I can get daily to a meeting, I feel better for it. So that's part of the toolkit of the fellowship. Other parts are the 12 steps of action to change our attitude and behaviour. And in this book here, Daily Reflections, it covers 1 step a month. 12 steps, 12 months, very handy. And step 2 is February, and it reads exactly like this, just to be clear. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And whatever that power is, and for me it was the accumulated wisdom of the people in AA to start with, and then realising that I am only human-sized, the same size as anybody else, but I can tap into this massive resource of wisdom about life in recovery, in the fellowship, and I can take the wisdom which will work for me, and not reject other people's wisdom offhandedly, but accept that their wisdom works for them. So we do stay unique and authentic, I feel, in the moment of now, where we are on our path. But we're not that different, and we're not special and different. We're just another human making the best of what is right now. So for February the 6th in this book, a rallying point, it says here, therefore, step 2 is the rallying point for all of us, whether an agnostic, atheist or former believer, we stand together on this step. That is, we are being restored to sanity on a daily basis, and we also know we can tip back into insanity very quickly when people cross us or we feel cross. And it goes on to say, I feel that AA is a God-inspired program and that God is at every AA meeting. And just to qualify that, it's the God of your understanding, not anybody else's. And for me, God is truth, God is love, God works through people. And that's what I understand so far, but I couldn't define God even if you asked me to. It goes on to say, I see, believe and have come to know that AA works because I have stayed sober today. I am turning my life over to AA and to God by going to an AA meeting, and that's to get wisdom. If God is in my heart and in everyone else's, then I am a small part of the whole and I am not unique. And if God is in my heart, it means I'm looking for the truth, accepting the wisdom of others and understanding it to an extent, and finding love in fellowship. When it says unique, we're not unique. Actually, it's how you read the words. So for unique and authentic is where we are now. Each of us on our own path. But we're not special and different, is the distinction I make. If God is in my heart and he speaks to me through other people, then I must be a channel of God, or truth, to other people. I should seek to do his will by living spiritual principles, which is living in the moment, to the good of living. And my reward will be sanity and emotional sobriety. And the gift in that for me is simply, we do it one day at a time. And that serenity prayer to God or good conscience, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That is addicted to a substance my substance, alcohol, my behaviour, trying to be perfect, and never ever so. Just making life work a day at a time these days with the help of fellowship. And my fellowship is Alcoholics Anonymous, and I go to AA meetings most days, and sometimes twice a day, simply because it gives me experience, strength and hope how to live one day at a time. And as each day changes, the truth changes, so we are informed about our personal circumstances as we meet them on a daily basis, and I prefer to meet them sober these days. So I don't speak for AA, never will. It's a fellowship, ordinary people with one common malay, if you like, or malaise. That is a need to be sober, because one drink does the damage and then we can't stop. And life is altered beyond all recognition, to the detriment of not only ourselves but the people around us. So I'm in the process of going through the 12-step program here on the videos, and it's the second month, and it's the second step. 12 action steps which people can or need to do to keep sober and make life work not only as it used to, but maybe an improvement on how it used to be. So the fellowship and what it is about. AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes, and certainly doesn't endorse anything I might say here. It's just me and my recovery I'm talking about. But it says here, our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So really all I'm trying to do is share a message of experience, strength and hope and how it's working for me. And it works reasonably well on a day-to-day basis, but the trouble is life imposes itself on my life, or rather the world imposes itself on my life. So I have to be a part of included doing my best and turning up for life as best I can one day at a time. And this 24-hour day program enables me to utilise the 12-step program to make my life a little bit better and improved. And it improves, and the wisdom learned each day can be utilised the next day and the next day and the next day. And it also shows me how to not utilise bad behaviour, resentful behaviour. So hopefully it makes me a more rounded individual and more able to deal with life's hard knocks, because we still all have hard knocks in recovery. And the second step, if you like, in this program, it says here, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And I always had great debates with myself about what is a higher power than me. And I always thought it would be people with more knowledge and experience and wisdom, which to an extent is true. But the higher power that is suggested in this program has, I suppose, a more astral flavour to it, that being God. And for me, I've actually come to an understanding that God is truth, God is love, God works through people. We are of nature and providence and the universe, and there are bigger powers all around me. And certainly I didn't have the power to stop drinking on my own, and certainly AA became my higher power in experience of being sober. So it hasn't been a debate which I had to debate very long. But in the 12 by 12 book, this blue one, which is almost like a little, I suppose, guidebook, if you like, to the 12 steps and 12 traditions, it says here about step 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And certainly AA has done that for me. And certainly the truth of my situation on a daily basis is, if I drink, I go back to madness, insanity. So what can we believe in? AA does not demand belief. 12 steps are only suggestions. And that's most important. They are only suggestions. You can take them or leave them. I've taken them because they are good suggestions. The importance of an open mind. I used to have a very closed mind. I thought I was it. But I wasn't. I was judging the rest of the world, while the rest of the world was judging me by my alcoholism. Plight of the disillusioned. Certainly I was. I was clinically depressed. Roadblocks of indifference and prejudice. Yes, I was indifferent to the world in my life. And I had loads of prejudice about people who'd done me wrong over the years. And in fact they hadn't. I just hadn't been aware of what they were up to. And I would have got out of it a lot sooner had I known. Lost faith found in AA. Certainly my faith has improved. Faith in human nature, faith in my understanding of the world. And problems of intellectuality and self-sufficiency. Yes, I have a brain, and my brain kept telling me I know the right way for me to be, and I always used to take a drink to make sure that I was right. And self-sufficiency, yes, I was taught to be self-sufficient, an honorary son of a gun. My father thought it was a good idea that we were able to stand on our own 2 feet. Never really understood the idea that if you collaborated with other people in a team-like way, or loved people, maybe they would love you back and you could be part of. So defiance is an outstanding characteristic of alcoholics. Yeah, asked me to give up booze? No, I wouldn't, until I was actually on my last legs, and often after that. And step 2 is a rallying point to sanity, right relation to God. And so if I believe in God, truth, that's the truth of now, my spiritual connection to the ever-present moment, that is, truth spiritual. It's not my willpower which makes it so, or another person's willpower. It's what we come to understand about the truth of now, life on life's terms. And in this book, The Daily Reflections, my daily read, if you like, for a bit of wisdom, it says a rallying point, as it says there in that blue book. Therefore, step 2 is the rallying point for all of us, whether agnostic, atheist or former believer. We can stand together on this step, and that is we can come to believe in a higher power which can restore us to sanity and keep us there, hopefully, a day at a time. These are things which only can happen on a daily basis, because we can go backwards as well as forwards. I feel that AA is a God-inspired program, and that God is at every AA meeting. I see, I believe, and have come to know that AA works because I have stayed sober today. I am turning my life over to AA and to God by going to an AA meeting, where I get some experience, strength and hope. If God is in my heart and everyone else's, then I am a small part of the whole, and I am not unique. If God is in my heart and he speaks to me through other people, then I understand I must be a channel of God to other people. I should seek to do his will by living spiritual principles, and my reward will be sanity and emotional sobriety. And for me, you know, if I have a touchstone in my life to truth, God is truth, and it's in the moment of now. That absolute gift that every human being can have, that is to be here right now, understand what is going on around them without those blocks and filters, or denials about life and denials about our situation. It's not about willpower, it's about actually being able to understand the moment of now, where life is really happening. It's not about our history. We can make our history repeat itself, and then get into all sorts of messes. As Bill sees it, integral to my daily reading program, and I did some morning pages this morning, which is a different exercise of writing down what I think this whole program is all about, to a friend of mine. Anyway, page 20, Light from a Prayer. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And it goes on to say, we treasure our serenity prayer because it brings a new light to us that can dissipate our old time and nearly fatal habit of fooling ourselves. In the radiance of this prayer, we see that defeat, rightly accepted, need not be a disaster. We know that we do not have to run away, nor ought we again try to overcome adversity by still another bulldozing power drive that can only push up obstacles before us faster than they could be taken down. And the absolute truth is, yeah, you know, if I try to bulldoze my way through anything to do with human nature, I can find myself not only pitting myself against the elements, but I'm pitting myself against humans. And if I do that and fall onto hard times, and I mean hard times in the sense of spiritual and emotional well-being, I can go back into relapse and get back into the insanity of doing the same old thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So the key to me always is to be in the moment as much as possible, to be less insane than I have been in the past, and try and get to the truth of now. And that serenity prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. I cannot change some things in this life. Courage to change the things I can, and there are many choices I can make. And the wisdom to know the difference is learned on a daily basis. It's the skill of keeping up and learning life, one day at a time.